Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast's IPL preview review show.
Pre-review.
It's not really the normal time for one of our podcasts, is it? But we'll muddle through. We're going to be talking about yesterday's cricket, the Punjab Kings losing and probably being eliminated, I think, by the mighty Lucknow Super Giants, my boys, the brood of boys. And then Thursday night's match where Delhi overcame the Kolkata Knight Riders, pretty much eliminated KKR if they weren't already gone, and put themselves in a decent position. Another little boost to their net run rate. We could see a Delhi charge, I think, second half of this tournament. Oh, and Max, England stuff. Got some England stuff.
Yes,
yeah,
we
haven't talked about Rob Key yet. We haven't talked about Ben Stokes. Obviously, that's quite new news. So we'll do a bit of England stuff, and then we'll preview the games today. Shall we start? Let's do a game, then we'll do messages for the listeners.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Mix it up. Why not? We're mixing it up. It's a Saturday. Let's change things around.
Look, if you want first message, if you're like, oh, this is good so far, I really want to support it. Go to the show notes. You can just find the stuff. You can click it and read. But we'll talk you through things later as well. So Max, what happened yesterday?
Well, yesterday we saw Lucknow and Punjab face off, as you said, at the Maharashtra Cricket Association Stadium. That's the Pune one, and it was. I was sort of liking this game to kind of two teams on a sort of a middle distance journey in a car, and both of them mirrored each other quite well to start with. Lucknow they went first. It was like a time trial thing. They went first, and they did the first half of their journey really well. Nice and quick, really up with the pace. Then they unfortunately hit a flat tire and kind of stumbled along very slowly. Yeah, well they hit something, hit a bit of rock, hit a bit of stone, got a flat tire. Blew a tire out, whatever. Yeah, and trundled along very slowly. But fortunately for them, they brought along a couple of guys who, unbeknownst to them, knew how to change a wheel. So those two big, Samantha Chimera and Mohsin Khan, and that propelled them to something of a respectable score at the end of their drive. And in comparison, the Punjab Kings. They did something very similar. They went off pretty well. In the halfway stage, they were probably going a little bit faster than Lucknow had. Unfortunately, they hit the same pothole and also blew a tyre out. But unfortunately for them, none of the guys they brought along knew how to change a tyre, so they just basically ground to a halt and lost.
Yeah. So So I think that's probably Punjab done. They can make it if they win all of their matches. I don't think they've shown the consistency in this tournament or any consistency in this tournament that suggests that they're
going to do that. No,
they could win 5 matches in a row. Yeah, and their net run rate, although I think it actually improved in this match from, was it minus 0.6 before? It's now minus 0.47. It's a lot worse than everyone's except RCB's. And it could. There is a world in which it comes down to RCB v Punjab for the 4th place, and maybe they can get in with 8 wins. But I think there's a lot of permutations. Let's not get into permutations too early.
I mean, they're outsiders, aren't they?
They are outsiders. I'd give them 1 in 20 chance of making the playoffs from here. Be a hell of a ride if they do. But yeah, I think there are a couple too many problems with this 11. Do you know what I thought about this match, Max? And I think the time trial analogy sort of is interesting here. And it kind of does work. I thought this was a really good example of why 10 ball strike rate is important in T20 cricket. Look how many people on both sides of the ball here got in, batted, let's say. They didn't get in. Batted, faced between sort of 5 and 15 balls and scored really slowly that time. You've got Darwan, Rajapaksa, Jitesh Sharma, Livingston to some extent. Yeah, Rishi Darwan.
Rishi Darwan went on a bit of a spree at the end just to drag his strike rate up to anything near 100. He was horrendous to start with.
Jitesh Sharma didn't cover himself in glory either. KL Rahul on the other side. Krunal Pandya 7 from 7 is not very good. Holder 11 from 8. That's not very good. And I think We talk about this. We do talk about tempo strike rate and people who start slowly a lot, and often we say it after that player has scored 70, and they end up with 70 from 45, and it's like great innings. But so Ross will call them a ball eater or something like that. This is what can happen if you don't do something early in your innings and then you get out. I think Punjab in particular. Who were they expecting, Max, to actually score the runs batting like that? Like nobody took responsibility for scoring the runs.
It was really strange. It was a really strange innings from Punjab because they just sort of no one did anything. Like they'd done the first half. What were they? 88 for 3 off 10, just over 10 overs, and you're like, that's you're thinking they're solid. What? 2/3 favourites at that point to win, maybe even more, just to take it home. And from that point, I think once Livingston was out, there was just no one really did anything. No one tried to win the game. It was all very odd. They looked very out of sorts, and it was a very confusing performance from them. But I mean, you highlighted the 10-ball strike rate, and you basically picked out almost everyone that played. I think possibly Agarwal would be about the only one who, and obviously the bowlers at the end for Lucknow were the ones who didn't. But I mean, are we seeing signs now over halfway in that the pitches are becoming a little trickier and people need to adjust?
Absolutely. I think that's the other thing the other big point I take away from this game is that the 160 to 170 is starting to look like a really good score when that looked like that was complete roadkill. Like you weren't defending 160, 170 early in this tournament. Now, if you get 170, I think you'd feel pretty confident. I think in the last week we've seen a 140 defended, haven't we? Maybe
that was Rajasthan against RCB, wasn't it? 2
or 3 150s that have been defended too. Obviously yesterday. It was one. I'm sure there was another one earlier in the week, but
Mumbai very almost defended 150 against CSK. It's that first inning score is coming down.
What I was impressed by, because obviously if the pitches do deteriorate slightly, it brings a slightly different type of bowler into the game, but they still have to be good. And I was impressed with what what the Lucknow spinners in particular brought to the table. I thought Bishnoi, even though he got hit a little bit, bowled quite well.
Yeah,
but he did get hit quite badly. But I think
it was an over from Livingston, wasn't it?
That's
probably damaged his figures.
Yeah, but Krunal, 4 overs, 1 maiden, 11 for 2.
Andy.
When I say like a certain type of bowler comes into the game, that certain type of bowler is somebody that can put it on a line of length with it doesn't have to be loads of revs, but enough to give the batters something to think about.
Yeah,
and
it's the really pace variations as well as much as the spin variations. I mean, both of his wickets came from the quicker darts, didn't they? And they definitely didn't pick those. Yeah.
So well played. The Super Giants. Is there anything else you wanted to pick out from this? I mean, Quinton de Kock hit that huge 6 off Rabada. Did Deepak Huda hit a pretty big? There were some pretty big bombs. Livingston hit too.
Deepak Huda's run out was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Oh, that was good.
Just sort of jogging back for the second. It was a great throw, in fairness, from Johnny Best. It was a cracking throw. But
did you see the look on his face? He was like, he was appalled that someone had done that to him. It looked like somebody had he was about to reverse into a car parking space and somebody just whipped in front of him. That's the look on his. He was just like, this is a society. You shouldn't be allowed to do this.
Yeah, no fair play points for you.
But I actually watched that back on the highlights a couple of times this morning, just to see like how it happened. But you're right, he just doesn't. It is inconceivable to him that this is going to be anything other than a 2, and that the fielder is going to get it in. Even going to throw to his end, I think. Until probably 4 yards away from catastrophe. It was like it's like a plane crash. Terrain pull the famous terrain pull up. That alarm went off, but it was too late. The pilot, he pulls back on the joystick, but he's going in the sea. and, and that was Ayush Badoni crashing jetliner. Anything else?
Well, I think we did have a question very early on this one, or sort of a comment. I think it was from Ruben about Punjab losing yesterday because their 1 to 5 batters didn't use their head. One of them had anchored; they would have won it easily, is what he's saying. What do you make of that? Because I mean, I'm looking at Johnny Bairstow's innings, 32 from 28. That's about as anchory as Johnny Bairstow's going to get.
No, I've got a bit of sympathy for that view. Actually, that was one of the things. Yeah. One of the things I did consider. We always used to say, not so much recently, to be fair. But we used to say, this is probably going back to some of our 2019 episodes, really. When Kohli would bat, and we would say he's not batting quick enough, and then people would be like, he's the best T20 batter in the world. And eventually we came to this sort of settlement, and the settlement was Virat Kohli is not the best T20 batter in the world, but he is the best T20 batter in the world if you're chasing 160. Like, he's the ideal anchor. He can go at 8 and over, basically risk-free, and chase down that score. And I did think that Punjab could have done with somebody doing that. Now, I think that person in this team is probably Dhawan, isn't it? Of the non-Rishi variety, the Shikhar.
Yes,
Shikhar Dhawan. But he
not fishy Rishi.
But he demonstrates, and we've talked about this earlier. He demonstrates the negative aspect of having somebody who anchors in your team. Often they start slowly. Often they put other people under pressure.
And he's 5 or 15 is a match-losing innings.
It's a really bad innings. It's a really, really bad innings. Basically, what that does is it turns that 150 by himself. Dhawan has turned that 150 into 170, basically, for the opposition. He's used up half the power play, but no benefit for his side.
Yeah.
But I definitely have sympathy with that view, and I did think in this situation that maybe they'd have been. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult
I've
to
got
be
kind
like...
of two conflicting thoughts on this because, you're absolutely right. Like, you're chasing 153. Like, probably the optimal strategy for winning the game is for someone to play that role.
Yeah.
What I struggle with in the Punjab side is, who does that? I mean, who does that? I mean, obviously, Shikhar Dhawan had a bit of a mare, but if you ask Bairstow to do it, I mean, Rajapaksa and Livingston, there's just no point in playing them if you want them to do an anchor role. I mean, that's just not how they're going to play the game. So you can't really ask them to do that. Johnny Bairstow, kind of, I mean, of those three, would be the one
he's the most versatile
to do it. He's the one who's most likely to be able to do it. But yeah, I think from the point of view of also where they are on the table, I think just getting the win was probably the thing they needed to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
As much as we want Punjab to go out and go all guns blazing, and that's sort of how they're set up to play. A bit of flexibility is important.
Well, I mean, I think what I'd say about that is that they didn't do that. Like, if you're going to do that, if that is your tactic, and we talked about this in one of their other games that they lost. If your tactic is to not worry about your wicket and to go batshit mental, then you need two things. You need to be able to bat to 8, which they could do today, and you need to actually kind of go for it, which they didn't do today. And so there are two ways to win this match. What they've tried to do, I think, is all anchor the innings. Like, everybody has tried to be the guy that gets 50 from 40, and that's not. It's bad tactics. I also think
penny for Dan Weston's thoughts.
I also think that Rajapaksa coming back into the team at this point in the tournament is strange. If you look at the splits, his performances versus pace and spin are like worlds apart. In pace, if it was only pace bowlers, he'd be the best batter in the IPL. Like, if it was only spinners, he'd be playing park cricket with me and you, Max. Like, there's a huge difference there, and he's come back into the team just as the pitches have started to turn.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, because he was good earlier in the tournament, all the analysts and all the managers and the captains will have done a little bit of work on him, and they'll know bowl spin. They'll just bring spinners on. Yeah, arguably, he shouldn't be in the team. I don't know. I mean, it's. But
then you got to bring back Odin Smith, so
or Benny Howe, Yeah. who I've been calling for the whole tournament.
Yeah, but again,
Howe.
we're seeing the problem, aren't we, with Punjab's sort of squad?
Yes,
Just
yeah.
just a little imbalance.
Yeah, it's a bit imbalanced, and the tactics on the day were bad. They were bad. Like there's no other way to describe that batting performance. Yep. 150, even on a tricky pitch, should be very, very chaseable.
Yeah,
you should win that 80% of the time, and they've lost by 20 runs.
Should
we talk about messages for the listeners, and then we'll do the next game?
Absolutely. So, right, well, what have we got? We've got like and subscribe, first of all, on YouTube. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, tell YouTube that we're great, and make more people come and find us. That's what we want. Yeah. We are sponsored by Serious Cricket. Jack and Ross were playing cricket last night, which is why we're doing this slightly differently timed show, and it went very well by all accounts for the side sponsored by Serious Cricket. So getting the name out there, and if you've got some games coming up soon, then head over to seriouscricket.co.uk and use code TCP22 to get 10% off. Head over to Twitter and Instagram at the Cricket Pod. Follow us there. Get in touch, and if you want to support the show, help us to keep going. Help us keep the motivation to do what we do, and cover whatever costs we have, like using Adobe to make all these lovely blue things that we have everywhere. It's patreon.com/Cricket Pod. All in the show notes.
Yes.
Down there.
Right, in Thursday night's cricket match, what happened, Max?
Thursday night's cricket match was between KKR and the Delhi Capitals. And Delhi Capitals, we saw a reprisal of a Rajasthan Royals new ball pair in the Fizz and Chetan Sakaria. And between them, they did a pretty good job. KKR didn't get out the blocks. They'd chosen to pick two literal nobodies as well for this game. Like, genuinely, I don't know what was going on there. It was left to Shreyas Iyer and Nitish Rana to do the heavy lifting in their innings, either side of Kuldeep Yadav, experiencing and showing once again that it is the return of the Yadavs, with 4 for 14, helped by both some excellent wicket-keeping from Rishabh Pant and some very poor but very lucky wicket-keeping from Rishabh Pant. And ultimately, after another really good final over, a bit of death bowling, this time from Mustafizur of 3 wickets, going for 2 runs, one of which was a leg bye. It was a fairly poor 146 for 9 off the 20 overs for KKR. Delhi Capitals, comfortable in the end, stuttered in the middle though. They threatened to throw it away as Adit Yadav went into ball-eating mode, and Rishabh Pant decided that he didn't fancy doing anything. But Robin Powell and Axar Patel between them saw it home pretty comfortable in the end with an over to spare. And Delhi Capitals, as you said earlier, on the charge. Yeah, I think KKR basically out.
Let's just address KKR pretty quickly, because we talked about them quite a lot on recent shows. But I think they may have just thrown in the towel for this season, and they're just having a look at some guys.
Yeah.
The 2 players they brought in, Indrajith. Indrajith. Is that how he said it?
Yeah, Baba Indrajith. Yeah, like
nice.
He's literally a part-time wicketkeeper. He was keeping.
Yeah.
He's not even a wicketkeeper.
He's bowled.
He bowls leg spin.
He's bowled 126 balls in first-class cricket, which is. he's bowled in List A cricket. He is. Yeah, he's an occasional wicketkeeper who's come in. I guess because they don't really fancy Sheldon Jackson, they wanted to give Finch another go at the top of the order. Finch reverted to the sort of Finch I expected to see.
Yes.
And then they were left with this guy batting 4. His record, if you want to know it, his record in T20 cricket, 19 innings, 325 runs. Not too bad. Some runs, isn't it? You know. Yeah. Highest score of 46, average of 19. Strike rate 103.
It's not winning you much.
Not great, is it? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's difficult to see, and obviously that is stuff that will be compiled largely in the SMAT. It's difficult to see why they expect him to get better in the... in the IPL with all the overseas players and stuff. But
like the England approach, find someone who averages 20 in Div 2 of the County Championship and expect them to open.
It basically is that. It's basically that, and it's interesting that they share an analyst. So read into that what you will, and then the other guy, Harshit Rana.
Harshit Pradeep Rana, yeah.
Yeah, so he got a little bit of a bowl, didn't he? He bowled okay. He got returned some figures. I think that's the first time he's bowled in or at any decent level of men's cricket. The clubs listed on his Crick Info player, on his Crick Info page, Kolkata Knight Riders, Delhi under-19s.
Right.
I think what they've done there is they've been there are some good young players in the IPL, aren't they? So
if we just play a young guy, they'll be good. Okay. That's how causality works. Yeah, I mean, he has. If you go onto ESPN Cricket Info, his stats are that game.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
The only cricket he's played.
There's not even sometimes on ESPN Cricket Info you can look at matches, and if they played second team matches, it will be logged on their system, so you can go back and look at what they did, but it won't appear on their stats page. No, there's only one game. Really interesting. Then they let everyone have a bowl, which is quite funny. like everyone gone over, and they all went for 14. Nitish Rana 14, Andre Russell 14, Shreyas Iyer 14. No, Venkatesh Iyer, sorry.
I like
Shreyas Iyer then goes,
the
I've had enough of this. All of you guys are rubbish. He comes on and hits over, goes for 7.
Twice as good.
Obviously, Chakravarti.
Genuine all-rounder, I'd say.
Gone from the team. And they do actually. They take it down. I said that Delhi got a bit of a net run rate boost. They didn't really, did they? In fact, they may have lost net run rate. They only won at the end of the 19th over, but it was reasonably comfortable. It wasn't a cruise.
Yeah.
It wasn't a cruise. At one point,
again, some jitters in the middle, weren't there?
And they did need a little bit of a partnership from our man Rovman and Shardul Thakur and the Lord. A little bit later on.
Tell you what, it's the renaissance. Not only is it the renaissance of the Yadavs this year, it's the renaissance of the West Indian finishers. Hetmeyer and Rovman Powell have been pretty good. Obviously, Andre Russell needs no introduction, but he's apart from obviously getting stumped in inauspicious circumstances on Thursday, is seemingly back to his best. I mean, Pollard's taking the can for them, isn't he? It's the yin and the yang. Pollard's taking the hit for the three of them to do well. I mean, your man, we should probably give some praise to your man Umesh, though. Umesh Yadav, once again, bowling in the power play, looking pretty menacing.
He was bowling pretty quick as well, wasn't he? He's slightly fallen out of the running for the purple cap. I think he is. I've just got that up now. He's 5th, got 14 wickets. He's within, he's striking distance of Yuzi. But the other Yadav, who we should talk about as well in this game, he's right up there. If you combine the Yadavs, then you've basically got the perfect bowler here, haven't you? 31 wickets, can bowl at multiple phases, left arm, right arm combination, spin, pace combination. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. So another thumbs up. He's probably I was going to say probably the only good thing. Narayan's been really good as well. Narayan bowled really well here.
With the ball at least. He's offered nothing at all with the bat, but
I mean that's the sort of be expected. I think
4.75 he went for in this game. He's proving largely impossible to get away. While obviously not in this game, but on the other hand, Chakravarti, who last year was so difficult to get away, has lost it a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, there's a bit sad for them. Delhi, though, what did they do right? Let's talk about what they did right. Firstly, I think Kuldeep Yadav is just right, isn't he? It is all the definition of right. He was so good, actually, that Rishabh Pant thought he'd give the other team a chance and only bowled in 3 overs. He picked up 4 wickets for 14 in that time, though. So another pretty good day at the office. Do you think he can overhaul Chahal?
Can he overhaul Chahal? I don't think so. I think Chahal is probably still got the edge for me.
Okay.
But I don't know what the games played like. They both played 8 now, so
Yeah,
they're
both played
back
8.
caught up.
Yeah.
I think it'll go down to the playoffs, won't it?
It definitely is. I mean, it's a proper renaissance for Umesh and Kuldeep. I mean, Kuldeep Yadav was probably a marginal. I mean, he was definitely going to get picked up, but it was probably marginal whether he would make an 11.
Play.
Yeah. He got into this Delhi team, and I suspect they picked him partly out of sort of seniority, but partly with the expectation that they may need to look at another option later in the tournament. And he's been their best bowler. It's not really another way of putting it.
They've lucked out big time on that one, haven't they? Let's face it.
Or it's great
they took a punt, didn't they? Let's be honest. They took a punt on a name and hoped that someone had probably said, yeah, he's been working on it. He's back to something.
They're big wickets as well in this match. He gets Andre Russell. He gets Sunil Narayan. Now Narayan on the decline, yeah, but his sort of game is mainly around hitting dobbers and spinners now, isn't it? And he gets him first ball. The big wicket of Baba, obviously, we've talked about him. But also Shreyas Iyer, the only guy, or one of the two guys who actually scored some runs for KKR. So he's gone through the middle of quite a dangerous lineup. He's got all the dangerous guys out.
That was a cracking bit of wicket keeping, wasn't it?
I only saw this live, and I was was this the first innings? Yeah, so I was sort of half working. What can you describe it to me?
So Kuldeep's sort of thrown it quite wide outside Shreyas Iyer's off stump, and he's got an under edge on it, and Rishabh Pant's sort of full stretch across, and he's caught it like one-handed, but sort of beneath his like right leg, stretching out. It was and it somehow stayed in the glove. It looked like it was going to pop out, but it somehow stayed in there. It was a very impressive take. It was a very unorthodox take. It was very much a bit of individual brilliance, but it was it was a real big moment in that innings, I think.
Yeah. It was. Well, I mean, he's the main guy, isn't he? Some of his Rishabh Pant's captaincy. I'll only make this point. I've really maybe not got time to go into it. But it was weird again. Nitish Rana sort of is. I don't know. I was going to say he's only there because he can hit off spin. The best thing he does is hit off spin, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll just send down 3 overs of Lalit Yadav."
Fiji.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's when it's hindsight's obviously.
Well, it wasn't hindsight.
Helps,
people were tweeting along. Like, people were just like,
I mean, I'm talking about sort of at this stage. It's hindsight, but also all you need to do is just look at that bowling card, and if you just took out the economy rates and the scores, and you just see Lalit Yadav 3 overs, Joel Thacker 3 overs, Chetan Sakaria 3 overs, Kuldeep Yadav 3 overs, you're like, well, that's the wrong way around. They're just like from the start, that's the wrong way around, isn't it?
Well, it works.
Because it's not even a choice of pace over spin at that point. You've got one better bowler who's not bowled there for, and one better bowler who's not bowled there for. But
yeah, they win. Good work, Delhi. That moves them up to 6th. Played 4, won 4, lost 4. That's what I mean. So if they win their next match, then they're really breathing down the neck of SRH. And if
best
SRH,
net run rate in the competition, which is very much in their favour.
It's Punjab will be kicking themselves about that. Also, if they'd won that, then it would be completely open. But it's not. Well done, Lucknow. Max, let's briefly turn our attention away from the IPL.
Yeah,
and to the other big news in international cricket here. We talked, you and I, 2 weeks ago, about Joe Root's demise.
Demise / legacy.
Yeah, I think he read the writing on the wall a little bit. Realised that the new management might not support him.
Probably had enough of pelters in the media.
By all accounts, he actually did really want to carry on. Like he had like a 3-year plan for getting England back in the game. But I guess as soon as you get that change, I think I want to change. He didn't want to be sacked, and so he went. We all thought that Ben Stokes was probably the guy that would get it. Lots of people have got reservations about this. It is Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes, yay, or Ben Stokes, nay?
I think on balance, Ben Stokes, yay. Obviously.
Oh, hold on. Just one last thing on the IPL. Then we had a super chat from Life with Shan. Kuldeep's career declined after Dhoni's retirement, which proves that Dhoni's experience kept Kuldeep flying. Now, what changes has he done to rise again? We talked about this. I think he bowls a little bit quicker, and maybe has maybe because he bowls a little bit quicker, can bowl a little bit shorter as well, and so he's not just sort of lobbing it up there and letting people get on the front foot and smash him down the ground.
Yeah.
It's a little bit trickier to play, and he's got like quite a good wrong on, hasn't he? He can spin the ball both ways, and from that slightly shorter length. Trouble both sides of the bat, and
his success came pretty early, didn't it? In when he burst onto the international scene, and I think simply a case of people kind of worked him out a bit, and he's gone away and added a new dimension to his game, and he's a better bowler for it.
You see that with cricketers, though, don't you? That's quite a common career trajectory, is that you have a bit of a sophomore slump, they say.
You see it with English batsmen, apart from the bit where they work out what the problem is. They just
make themselves worse.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ben Stokes, yay or nay?
So I think on balance, yay. I think it's probably the right decision if you consider, on the one hand, you're going to need to pick someone who's always going to be in the team, and Ben Stokes certainly is that, provided he's fit, of course. I think he's nursing a bit of a knee injury at the moment, so. England aren't playing Test cricket till June, so I'm sure that'll be fine. But if he does have a spell on the sidelines, we will see. Whoever ends up being vice captain will probably have a reasonable part to play. I think there's a couple of things to think about for me about having Ben Stokes as the England captain in the Test game. The captaincy is a very different thing to what it is in a game of T20 cricket. The decisions you make aren't going to have as much of the bread and butter decisions you make aren't going to have as much of an impact on the result of the game. You think about who do I bowl in the 19th over is a very big but also very normal decision in a game of T20 cricket, and could make all the difference. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing in Test cricket. I think it's more of having more important about having a kind of bannerman, someone who can rally the troops, keep things, keep motivation high, keep the intensity up, like Virat Kohli did for India, making sure that everyone was like quite intense and into it. And I think of all the people in the England team, Ben Stokes is probably a man that will be able to do that better than anyone else. On the tactical side, is he going to be an improvement on Joe Root? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. I don't think he's got a huge amount of pedigree and captaincy, so I'm not sure tactically whether it's going to be a massive improvement. But what I've seen from England in the last few years when things have been going badly is just things drift. Whether it's like, not trying something different. We tried different things. It's usually bringing on someone who bowls 80 mile an hour to bowl short of someone, and then have like 3 people on the leg side boundary. It's a bit weird, but things drift. And we got that sense from Joss Butler as well as vice captain, and sort of over like the Ashes in particular. You just got that impression of like, I don't want to be here. And that sort of permeated throughout the side. Like when things are going badly, England are just like, oh God, here we go again. And you need someone to change that and bring energy and try and make that difference. And I think Ben Stokes will probably be the right guy to do that. Whether he's going to be a great captain is another matter, but I think he'll from that sort of motivational leader point of view, I think he'll probably be the right guy for that.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with most of that. The other call, wasn't it, was for somebody like, or the other serious call in the media was it was for someone like Broad or the specialist captain. I think Broad
specialist.
Broad, if this was a leadership race, let's say it's Conservative Party, for example, and Boris Johnson has resigned. Broad would be like Gove. Like initially, people are like, maybe we give it to Gove. Like everyone knows who he is. He's been around a long time. Yeah, he's a bit crazy, but he's done some good things as well. He'd go up in the odds. He'd probably get pretty high up, and then people would be like, "Hold on a minute. I've been thinking about this for 3 or 4 days now, and we can't have Michael Gove as Prime Minister."
Okay.
And then that would make, I don't know, who's Broad, who's Stokes in it. I don't really know. Stokes would be like Rishi Sunak before Rishi Sunak pretended that he owned a Kia and then completely lost the plot and couldn't use his bank card.
Rishi Dishy, not
Fishy. Like Rishi Sunak circa furlough 2020. He was the obvious choice, and he's ended up getting the job. And
current Rishi is like Ben Stokes punching someone outside embargo Rishi.
Yeah, and then you've got like outsider Tom Tugendhat.
Yeah.
Sam Billings, like a guy from the backbenches. Everyone says, no, he's got good ideas. He knows what he's talking about. He's positive. He'll change things for the better. And what we lose in Test match experience, Reed front bench experience, we gain from cricket brain and the fact that he can't be worse than who we've got in the team at the moment.
The cabinet's already a mess, so what's another mess?
So there were those things going around. The Billings one I did think was kind of interesting. The Tugendhat, the centrish dad option. He obviously, if you've seen any of the KKR games recently, he is relentlessly optimistic and energetic behind the stumps. And so from the point of view of what you're talking about there, getting the right intensity, I think he probably would have brought that. The other thing, by all accounts, he is quite smart and has a lot of the right contacts, let's say, in terms of who he is speaking to about the game and who he wants to learn from, and the questions he asks are kind of intelligent questions. I think the thing with Ben Stokes maybe is that he's not necessarily the guy who's going to go out of his... He's quite an instinctive cricketer, right? Ben Stokes is amazing, but he's amazing for a bunch of reasons that aren't really, really clever. Now, I'm not saying that he isn't really, really clever, but he's got to where he is because he's this specimen of an athlete and he works incredibly hard. And he's intense and he's aggressive. That's sort of Ben Stokes, isn't it? I think in Test match cricket that could probably work. I know people picked a few holes in his captaincy for the Northern Superchargers in the Hundo. He did a couple of games, didn't he? And I think some people said he wasn't tactically that good there, but it's a completely different thing. Yeah. It's more of a state. You're doing. It's like club football v international football. That's a good analogy. We always use football, but we know a lot about football. Gareth Southgate, great international manager. I don't think Gareth Southgate should be the next manager of Man City. It's not. It's a completely different thing that you need to do, and a very different skill set. Would Guardiola be a great England manager? Probably not. I don't think. The ideas are too difficult to get across in
a week.
Yeah. What you're doing is creating an atmosphere and an environment that people want to be in and are comfortable in, and you're trying to take the pressure off people when they come into the side, or the people that are the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th best players who might lose their place. You want to give them you want to put them in an environment where they can be their best and not be worried about failure. I think as much as you want to. Well, the off spinner at exactly the right time. Although that does help. It will. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. I'm not discounting that.
Yeah, but not bowling Jofra Archer 20 overs in a row.
A lot of what you're doing is managing fatigue. If you're a Test match captain, you're not necessarily always looking for tactical opportunities. You're thinking, how do I get 20 really good overs out of James Anderson in a day? They're coming back into the side, according to Stokes. I think that's probably a positive step. And I don't think that's something that Rob Key necessarily wants, the guy above Stokes now. But I think he's basically said, I want to play the best team. And I see them as the best team. It's about, I think that's a good sign. What he's saying there is, I've got a vision about what this team should be like, who the best players are, and I'm going to stand up for the players who I think are the best. Now,
I don't think there are many people that would disagree with them on that
well,
front.
I mean, but there are, because they got dropped, and people were saying maybe it is time we, like Rob Key, the guy who is now the cricket managing whatever it is.
Well, I
director.
mean, sort of publicly popular support.
Oh, yeah, but like it's
he's come in and he's instantly cut income tax by 1 point.
Yeah. So
for a few years.
I think there are some knives out for him already. And I'm going to withhold judgment. I want to.
Yeah, well, let's put the knives away for now.
We've got a question.
Let's give the boy a chance.
We've got another question on the old super chat. Thank you, Vasanth. Give Vasanth some love in the chat box. Send him a heart. What is England's option if Stokes is injured? What is Plan B? And who is vice captain? Handing an injury-prone player the captaincy is risky. And who are the openers? So there's a few things to unpack there with England. Who is Plan B?
That's a very good question. I think obviously Joe Root's going to be around and will be offering support to whoever's in charge. So I don't think they'll be having. It'll be a clean break. So I wouldn't expect Joe Root to be vice captain, but he'll be a supporting voice whatever happens. And I reckon it could be Johnny Bairstow.
I wouldn't be stunned if it was Bairstow. Yeah,
not based on any logic or reasoning. It feels like something that might happen.
I don't think that. I think the obvious choice for like vice captain would be somebody like Ben Folkes. I think, but there's no guarantee he's playing in the second series of this summer.
Yeah.
So I don't think they can make him the guy. I think Broad is a potential vice captain because it's your vice captain doesn't actually have to play every match. And if Stokes does go down, then
you pick Broad.
Basically you pick Broad.
Yeah.
You probably want Broad in the team for the experience at that point anyway. So I think maybe Broad. Who are the openers? Zach Crawley's probably done enough. I mean, he did get a ton in the last series, so it's
I think Zach Crawley's certainly ahead of the.
I wouldn't be shocked
chasing pack.
I wouldn't
Not
be shocked
that he's
if he was
streaking
gone
ahead
by the end of the year.
No.
That wouldn't stun me at all. It would also.
I can tell you who it's not going to be. We could start with who it's not going to be, and then we can whittle it down to who it might be from there. It's not going to be Hamid. It's not going to be Rory Burns.
No, gone.
It's not going to be King James.
It's not going to be. Not going to be the Beaker. Yeah.
It could be Dominic Sibley.
It could be Alex Lees still. Sibley hasn't scored any runs in the county championship. I think if he had, then he'd be back in contention.
I think he started with a 50-odd, didn't he? And then hasn't really done anything from there. Rory Burns has also been pretty dreadful in the county championship this year. So again, I think maybe 150 for him.
The Sussex captain Tom Haynes looks like he might actually be quite a good option. I think he scored a double century this season. He averages like 40, which is almost unheard of among English openers.
Yeah, get him in. Get him in.
It's at the slightly lower standard in the second division, but he's an option.
There's a few
play
guys.
With Pajara, maybe can learn from Pajara and come into the side. There's a few guys actually.
I mean, England aren't averse just to picking anyone who bats and making them open. So I mean. I think Bahannon's been doing all right, isn't he? Tom Abel's had a good start to the season as well, and they're all sort of names who are in like the.
I think
beneath the level.
I think we'll see at least one of Bohannon, Tom Haynes, or the bloke at Surrey who gets a century every second time he bats. Jamie Smith. No, the other one.
Oh, Jamie Smith.
Yeah,
scored a double 100 against Gloucestershire.
I wouldn't be. Maybe not Jamie Smith. Maybe it's a bit early for him. But
he's 21.
He's got 306 innings. Like that's quite good. Like at some point, if he keeps doing
he's really good at cricket. Yeah, he's really good.
If he keeps doing that, maybe I'm saying like
he might be taking Ben Folkes' place.
So there's the cupboard maybe isn't quite as bare as people think.
Sam Curran's hit a couple of 50s. He could open.
So there's a few guys around. And that's probably enough England stuff. Shall we? Hello, Lucas. Good day, he says. First time watcher from New Zealand. Good stuff. We've got a Kiwi on our Patreon now. Quite a global group there. We've got a lot of people in the States, a few people in the UK, a couple of people in India, a Kiwi now. So that's good.
Nice.
Let's talk about the IPL again. The IPL sandwich or the England sandwich.
Right. England sandwich, IPL bread.
4 games, starting with Gujarat v RCB in 10 minutes' time. Who are you picking and why?
It's just what is it about Gujarat? They just keep winning. They just somehow keep winning. It's
Winning's
got to
a habit,
stop,
Max. Winning's a
It's
habit.
got to stop. They have to stop at some point, and it's going to be today against RCB because they won the toss and they've batted.
They've won. Gujarat have won the toss and batted.
No, RCB have won the toss and they batted. Second time.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, we were just talking about pitches getting worse. Chasing's becoming harder.
Yeah. At the Brabham. Well, I mean, that one, I think we've seen sort of alternate high and low scores there, haven't we? So it's difficult to call exactly what will happen. I do think in the day game, batting first is a really good option. I think it's making a statement as well, isn't it? Basically.
Kohli Ton heard it here first.
Well, I tell you what, it would be. I would absolutely love a Kohli Ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
me too.
We're due, aren't we? We're due.
Yeah.
I think 2 absolutely dreadful RCB. They're 20 for 170 across their last matches.
Someone's got to give.
They're obnoxiously bad. I fancy today they're going to be 170 for 1. Like it's going to be.
If you're a Gujarat fan, I'm sure there are many of them around. It's one of those, like, again, back to like a football analogy. You're sort of, your team's flying high and you're playing against a team who's on a run of like 10 defeats in a row. And there's no conceivable reason that you should lose, but you just go into the game and think, we're going to lose this. I know it. I just know it. It's just one of those things. Like, we're going to lose.
Look, the reality is, in all of these games, the most you get, probably the highest chance of winning is probably about 65%, looking at the talent across the league. Like Mumbai right now, or KKR the other day, fielded a team that was so bad compared to the opposition that they probably only had a 35% chance of winning. But that's still a big chance. Yeah, there's still a really good chance that Shreyas Iyer gets runs, or Andre Russell does something incredible, or Narayan takes 5 for. Like those things happen a lot in T20 cricket. Yeah. Or that you play really well and something freakish happened, like SRH the other night. They played really well, and then like it all fell apart. So there's that. RCB, they can win. Let's go to the late game. The Royals v the Mumbai Indians. Who do you fancy there?
I mean, I can't. As much as I was just saying against the logic of they can't stop winning. Mumbai Indians can carry on losing.
They can make it
9 out of 9. They've given up, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're
who knows who they'll play?
Yeah, they could play literally anyone.
I think the other thing for Rajasthan, you can beat them if you take early wickets. I don't see who's getting the early wickets from Mumbai.
No.
So
they've tried all of their options and none of them have worked.
It's not a really very interesting game, that one. I'll still watch it, but I'm not super. We should say actually, Dan Weston's coming on the show on Sunday night if you want to.
Yes.
Want to get involved and hear his views on the game. I know lots of people do like listening to him. That's happening. Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, Delhi v Lucknow is the morning match. Max, who's going to win?
We've done pretty well actually. It's just on Dan to get him on for a weekend game when there's 4 fixtures and they don't involve Punjab.
Well, that's the second time that's happened.
Yeah, that's very convenient for getting Dan to talk about the IPL with us. Delhi Lucknow, that's a really close one. That I think really tight. I'm going to go Delhi, though.
Delhi?
I mean, it's like, I think it's 50-50.
I think Delhi are the better cricket team. I would have them as favourites too. But Lucknow have been surprisingly competent, is how I would describe it. They're not really a fun team. I
think Krunal and Deepak Huda have just been way more effective than I thought they would be.
Yeah, and they've got a little bit more out of some of their batters than you'd have thought as well. And I think we talked about this too. The idea of 1 or 2 guys batting through the innings is more obviously, like I was going to say 1, 2 or 3 guys batting through the innings. I have 3 guys batting through the innings. It's more viable this year because there are fewer bowlers to consider. Like the pressure goes up and down quite significantly. The best bowlers are still got a really good chance of getting King Legend and Quinton de Kock out.
Potentially at this stage, someone batting through wins you the game, right?
Yeah. But the fourth and fifth bowlers are not let's be honest, they're not in King Legends League.
No.
Delhi are an all right bowling side, so that might not be such an issue for them. But I still quite fancy Lucknow. I think actually there.
Right.
I've taught myself into Lucknow.
Nice.
And then the final cricket match of the IPL's weekend is the Sunrisers v CSK. I'm going to be honest with you, Max. Can't see anyone but Sunrisers winning that.
CSK.
I don't know. No,
I think CSK have performed exactly to the level that they are able to this IPL. They've been a bit unlucky in a couple. They've been lucky in a couple. Their batting's been reasonable, but they just haven't got the firepower with the ball. So if you're coming up against a team like Sunrisers with their bowling attack, I do think they are going to struggle. But I can't not back my boys.
The one thing I'd say in this, like CSK's big problem has been, largely speaking, has been power play bowling. I know there was that one game where Chowdhury did pick up some wickets, but basically
it was against Mumbai.
yeah. Basically they've been really toothless there. Against SRH, I'm not 100% sure that is the worst problem to have because they don't
keep Williamson in the crease as long as possible.
They don't really do anything in the power play. They play rope-a-dope, don't they? They're sort of there, like doing that. They're like, oh well, we'll try and block it out for as long as possible, and then Tripathi will save us. Having bowlers a little bit later in the innings to sort of steer you through, Pretorius, Bravo, might be a tactic that actually works quite well against Sunrisers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still think Sunrisers will win because I think the bowling probably be enough.
I think it'll be an interesting game, but not a good game.
I think that's probably a fair call. It's one for the purists.
Yeah.
One for the purists. Right.
Yeah.
Lucas asked, last question. Hey lads, did Bohannon get selected for England? He's played in the B team or the A team or whatever it is. But not the
Lions.
main England team. Yeah. But not for main England.
No.
And someone asked,
He will.
is Kohli Calvert-Lewin? Answer that one.
I think he started at a higher point than Calvert-Lewin.
Yes.
Probably more Michael Owen when he went bad.
Okay. I think Kohli in cricket terms was better than Michael Owen in football terms. I know Michael Owen.
That's probably unfair.
Michael Owen won a Ballon d'Or, didn't he? Which was a joke. Like he wasn't the best. He wasn't the best. But Kohli was the best player in cricket for quite a long time, probably, or one of the best players in cricket for quite a long time. So yeah, he's good. He's good. Maybe not as good anymore, but he was good. Be happy that it happened.
There's plenty of time for it to come back.
Don't be sad that it's over.
There'll be a renaissance yet.
Right, Max, we're off to go and watch the IPL. 2 last messages. seriouscricket.co.uk. Code is TCP22 for 10% off. It's a beautiful sunny day. I've got my trainers, or my shoes, my Dave Painter shoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they do look good.
They're super comfortable. They're fresh in, 10% off. Get yourself a new stick, new bat. That's really like it's bat season, isn't it? Like this is the perfect time to buy a bat, and then it's not quite ready for the first game. You have to knock it in loads, then you use it and it's not quite knocked in, and then dent in it, and then you have to knock it in more. But like come May, June, July, the high season, you'll have a good bat, and then you'll
pinging
play
sixes for fun.
Yeah, you'll hit like a couple of good shots, and then you'll tell everyone about how good your bat is. And that decision, that moment that you will have later on begins with a visit to seriouscricket.co.uk. OTC 10% off. Final thing, Patreon. Come on, man. Patreon.com/the cricket pod. Support us directly. We're on 43 Patreons. If we get 7 more, then we're at 50. We've made a half century.
First half century of the season for me, that would be, having not played yet.
It might be the only half century of the season.
It could be.
Ross got one last night. I bat 8, so even though I scored more runs than anyone else in the team, I'd never get 50.
Yeah, that's how he gets his good average. He never gets out because he just finishes the game.
Sorry for winning the cricket match. I apologise.
It's a classic captain move, that.
Right, I'm off.
Don't worry, lads.
We're off. See you later.